So I was walking through the city the other day, just, looking up, and it hit me.
Uh-huh.
We take the shape of our world for granted. We see a skyscraper and think, well, that's just what skyscrapers look like.
Yeah.
But then I started digging into the stack for this deep dive and realized the entire visual language of the 20th century,
Yeah.
from jewelry, toasters, all the way up to the New York skyline.
Yeah.
It all comes back to this one specific moment, this one shift.
It's the moment we decided to stop imitating nature and start organizing it. We're talking about Art Deco, of course.
Right.
But you're spot on. It's not just a style. It's more like a complete rewiring of the visual brain.
And for the design students listening, I want to be clear. This isn't just a history lesson about, vintage stuff.
No, not at all.
This is about how you take a chaotic world, and the 1920s were chaotic, and you force it into this beautiful geometric order. But before we get to the skyscrapers, we have to start in Paris, right? The notes mention 1925.
Paris, 1925. The Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes.
That is a mouthful.
It is, but that expo is basically the big bang for this entire movement.
I saw a stat here that just blew my mind. 16 million visitors.
16 million. Think about that. In a pre-internet, pre-TV world, the cultural density of that one event is just immense.
So everyone just showed up and saw this new thing?
Millions of people walking through these pavilions, seeing this new style modern. The name Art Deco actually wasn't coined until the 60s, funnily enough. And it just imprinted on the global consciousness. It really was the first true world style.
So what was the mission? What were those 16 million people seeing that was so different? Because before this, the big thing was Art Nouveau, right?
Yes.
All the stuff with the vines and the flowery lamps.
That is the crucial comparison. To get Deco, you have to understand what it was reacting against, what it hated.
Okay.
Art Nouveau, which dominated the late 19th century, was all about whiplash curves.
Yeah.
It was asymmetrical, it was organic, it was a reaction against the Industrial Revolution.
Right, it feels very anti-factory.
Totally. Nouveau designers looked at a factory, got scared, and ran into the woods to draw dragonflies and lilies.
So Nouveau is the forest, it's messy, it's flowing.
It's romantic, it's grown. Art Deco comes along and takes a machete to the vines. It doesn't run from the factory, it worships the factory. The shift was toward intentional simplicity and evident symmetry.
So from the curve to the angle.
From the organic to the geometric. Exactly.
That's a huge distinction. I was looking at some of the jewelry designs from the period, and it feels so different. Nouveau jewelry looks like it's melting or maybe growing on you. Deco jewelry looks like it was engineered.
Engineered is the perfect word. I like to call it the mosaic mindset. If you're a design student today, think about it like this. In Art Nouveau, you're painting. In Art Deco, you are assembling.
Like building blocks.
Precisely. You're taking distinct geometric components, triangles, trapezoids, arcs, and fitting them together into a seamless, ordered whole. It's about control.
Speaking of control, let's talk about the ultimate expression of this, the skyscraper. Because nothing says control over nature like a giant steel tower.
Right.
But here's the weird part I found in the research. A lot of the iconic Art Deco look in New York didn't come from some artist's sketchbook. It came from a zoning law.
This is one of my favorite accidents in design history, the 1916 zoning resolution in New York City.
So bureaucracy created beauty.
Essential bureaucracy. Before 1916, developers were just building straight up from the sidewalk, massive vertical blocks.
I can picture that. Dark.
It was turning the streets into these dark, airless canyons. So the city stepped in.
And said, stop building so tall.
No, they said, if you want to build tall, you have to step back. The law required that as a building got higher, its footprint had to get smaller to let light hit the street.
Ah, okay. The setbacks.
Right. Now, they could have just built ugly, blocky stairs. But then you get this illustrator, a guy named Hugh Ferris.
I looked up his drawings. They are moody. They look like Gotham City.
Pure atmosphere. Ferris took these dry legal restrictions and he drew them as these misty limestone mountains rising out of the city. He turned the setback into the ziggurat.
So he made the law look cool.
He showed architects that the law could create this soaring vertical aesthetic. The wedding cake style wasn't just decoration, it was the law made beautiful.
And the Empire State Building is the king of this.
The Empire State is the monument to verticality. It's stripped back. It uses those limestone and aluminum strips to just force your eye upward, endlessly upward. It's all about sheer height.
So then you have the Chrysler Building. And honestly, looking at the photos, it's my favorite. It feels different. Shinier.
Hmm.
Bit more aggressive.
It's the machine aesthetic in its purest form. You have to remember, it was built for Walter Chrysler, the car magnate.
Well,
It is an advertisement for the automobile, just built out of brick and steel.
I zoomed in on the corners of the building, way up near the top. I thought they were gargoyles, like on a cathedral. But they aren't.
What did they look like to you?
They look like car parts.
Because they are. They're giant, stylized radiator caps. And the eagles on the corners.
Let me guess. Hood ornaments.
Hood ornaments, you got it.
That is wild. He put hood ornaments on a skyscraper.
And that stainless steel spire, the famous crown, it's meant to look like a sunburst, but a machine sunburst. It's made of this new Nirosta steel designed to gleam forever, like a brand new car rolling off the assembly line.
It's just branding on a massive scale. But it wasn't only New York. We saw notes on Miami and even Mumbai.
And that shows the style's versatility. Miami gives us tropical deco.
Right.
In New York, the geometry is about power and height, stone and steel. In Miami, it's about leisure, pastel colors, neon, nautical themes.
Nautical like ships.
Exactly. Porthole windows, railings like ship decks.
Yeah.
And they added eyebrows, those little concrete ledges over the windows to block the sun. It's the same language, just a different dialect.
Okay, so we have this futuristic, machine-obsessed style. Cars on buildings, steel sunbursts. But then, and this is the part that feels like a glitch in the Matrix, you look at the details and it's full of ancient Egypt. Sphinxes, scarabs, lotus flowers. How does King Tut fit in with machine age?
It does seem like a paradox, doesn't it?
Oh.
The Sphinx meets the radiator cap. But you have to contextualize the year 1922.
Howard Carter finds the tomb.
And the world goes absolutely insane. It was the first viral global trend, Egyptomania.
Right.
But here's the key for our design students. Art Deco designers didn't just copy Egyptian art. They modernized it.
What does that mean practically?
Well, think about a lotus flower. In Art Nouveau, you draw it wilting, with all its organic flaws. In Art Deco, you take the idea of a lotus and you turn it into a geometry problem.
You straighten it out?
You fan it out into perfect arcs, you sharpen the edges, you turn the scarab beetle into this perfect oval with stylized wings. They stripped out the history and just used the shapes.
And the pyramids? The ziggurat shape again?
Exactly. They saw pyramids and ziggurats from Egypt, but also from Aztec and Mayan architecture as these eternal, powerful forms. By combining that ancient grandeur with modern materials, they were trying to say that their civilization was just as powerful.
We are the new empire.
That's the message.
Okay, let's shift to materials, because this is where I get a bit confused. On one hand, you have these French designers making furniture that costs more than a house. On the other, we're talking about mass production. So was Art Deco for the rich or for everyone?
That is the central tension of the whole movement. It's a total split personality. On the French side, you have the elite style. The master here is Jacques-Émile Roullman.
Roullman. This is the guy using just the most insane materials.
He was a perfectionist. He used Macassar ebony, tortoiseshell ivory, and shagreen.
I had to look that up. It's shark skin.
Ray or shark skin, yes. They would sand it down and polish it until it felt like this smooth, speckled stone. Incredibly difficult to work with, expensive, exotic. This was designed as a pure status symbol.
Okay, so that's the luxury side. But then you have the Germans. You have the Bauhaus.
Right. And figures like Marianne Brandt had a totally different philosophy. They wanted to democratize good design. They looked at the machine not just as an aesthetic, but as a tool for production.
So instead of shark skin, they used
what? Chrome-plated steel, glass, bakelite.
Bakelite is that early plastic, right?
Yes. But they treated it with the same respect Roullman treated ivory. Look at Marianne Brandt's tea sets. They are pure geometry. A sphere, a cylinder, a flat plane, no decoration. She was proving that industrial materials could be beautiful.
And that's how it got into regular people's homes. I was reading about the radios.
Yeah.
You couldn't afford a Roullman cabinet, but you could buy a Bakelite radio that had the same stepped skyscraper look.
Precisely. Materials like bakelite and vitrolite, this cool, opaque glass, let the middle class buy into that geometry of optimism. It meant the toaster in your kitchen could look like the Empire State Building.
I love that idea. The toaster looks like the skyscraper. Okay, let's talk about the applied arts, the stuff you could hold. I was struck by the ceramics, specifically Joe Ponti.
Ponti is fascinating. He bridges that gap between old and new. He'd take these very traditional classical urns and vases.
And then just go wild on them.
He'd paint them with these bizarre, geometric, almost surrealist deco patterns. He made the classical look modern.
And then glass. You have to talk about Lalique. But wait, wasn't he an Art Nouveau guy originally?
He was the master of Nouveau jewelry. But he saw the tide turning. He knew the world was moving away from organic uniqueness toward industrial repetition, so he pivoted to pressed glass.
And this is where we get the hood ornaments again.
The Victoire, or Spirit of the Wind, it's this glass head shouting, with her hair streaming back in these sharp horizontal spikes.
It was fast.
It implies speed. It's aerodynamics frozen in glass. It is the perfect Art Deco object.
And that geometry carried over to jewelry, too. The fruit salad style from Cartier. That sounded delicious, by the way.
It's a visual feast. Fruit salad refers to these pieces where they took rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, carved them into little leaves or berries, and then packed them together in this dense mosaic. But even there, it's about structure.
It's not just one big diamond sitting there.
No, it's a construction. They used platinum because it was so strong, so the settings could be almost invisible. You see diamond baguettes, the rectangular ones, arranged like bricks in a wall. It was about creating a surface of light, not just holding up a rock.
It really paints a picture of the atmosphere. The roaring 20s. It just feels like everyone is ready to party and go fast.
It was an architecture of exuberance. You have to remember, World War I had just ended. The flu pandemic had just ended. People were desperate to believe in the future again.
And technology was the future.
Technology, the machine industry, they believed it would save us. It was the Jazz Age. The design just reflected all that energy.
But then, the party ended. The 1930s. The Depression.
The mood changed, and the design morphed with it. We moved from the vertical to the horizontal.
This is the streamline shift.
Right. In the 20s, we had zigzag modern, upward, spiky, decorated. In the 30s, money was tight. The optimism became more about endurance and efficiency. And we looked to aerodynamics for inspiration.
So buildings started looking like trains.
And ships. We call it streamlined modern, rounded corners, smooth white stucco instead of expensive stone. And speed lines, those 3 horizontal grooves you see on old diners or bus stations.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
It was a way of making a stationary building look like it was moving forward. A more stripped down, resilient kind of hope.
So bringing this all home for the students listening, we've gone from Paris to New York, from shark skin to plastic radios. What's the big takeaway? Why does Art Deco still matter?
I think Art Deco is the ultimate lesson in synthesis. As a designer, you are constantly bombarded with influences: history, technology, culture.
All of it.
Art Deco shows us how to take all of that ancient pyramids, the modern assembly line, luxury, plastic, and fuse it into one cohesive visual language.
It didn't reject the past, and it didn't fear the future. It just mashed them together.
It created a bridge. And it teaches us that decoration isn't a dirty word. In modern design, we often strip everything away to a blank white box. We call it minimalism. But Deco proves you can have structure and soul, geometry and glamour.
It makes me wonder, looking at our world of flat screens and gray apps, are we due for a shift?
History moves in cycles. We've been in a phase of digital minimalism for a long time. Less is more.
Right.
But Art Deco was a reaction against the organic chaos of Nouveau. Maybe we're approaching a reaction against the sterile emptiness of minimalism.
A Neo-Deco revival.
Why not? A return to material richness, to pattern, to sumptuous ornament. A return to the idea that the future should actually look like something.
That is a fascinating thought. Maybe it's time to put some radiator caps on our laptops.
Or at least some speed lines.
There you go. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Go find some geometry in your neighborhood, and we'll see you next time.